Hello everyone. After I posted my Cleveland commentary, I saw a ton of commentaries, or a lot of comments that were also highly upvoted, which were requesting me to cover the NC, the North Carolina. And I looked through my videos and I realized I've actually never even covered this ship. So, I mean, it's a T8, pretty much staple US battleship, and I figured, well, hell, let's buy it real quick and cover it then. This is actually my first game since I bought it. But overall, the main issue people tend to have when switching to the North Carolina is mostly that this is when the style of the US ships kind of changes quite a bit. The New Mexico and both the Colorado are these close range brawlers. They are extremely tanky, quite forgiving for showing broadside and such, but they are extremely good at. They are slow, but they are very good at this close range brawling. The North Carolina, on the other hand, it's, well, until the Scharnhorst and Dunkirk and things like this were added, I would say this was the quintessential battle cruiser actually, because this thing has quite a large citadel and it's quite vulnerable if you show any sort of broadside. But on the other hand, it's very fast and it has absolutely amazing bow armor when angled. And of course, it's got amazing turret placement, it's got fantastic anti-air. You are literally, no CV wants to even come close to you. Like even T9 CVs will probably avoid the North Carolina because the anti-air on it is just so disgustingly strong. Now, there have been some changes since the last time I played it. I literally played my NC, I think, when was it? Last year's August? It might have been a year ago I last played the ship. And of course, back then it had notoriously bad dispersion and things like that. But looking at the way my shells are grouping, how finely they're grouping into one nice fat cluster, it's pretty obvious, of course, that they buffed the dispersion and such, and it's very much visible because the NC tended to have, honestly, probably worse T8 dispersion, and that was why it wasn't that popular. But now looking at it, with all the strengths it already has, the combination of speed, the combination of massive anti-air, and now of course this turret placement, good turret angles, and now of course this great dispersion, it's quite obvious that the NC, I can already tell from this, that the NC is obviously an extremely strong battleship right now. For good reason. I mean, I've been seeing it a lot in Clan Wars, of course. It's quite popular in Clan Wars because, especially because of the forward turret placement. It's the only T8 battleship where you can basically point your bow straight at the enemy and still be able to use 6 guns or 66% of your gun power. So that alone makes it extremely strong. Now, I'm using, of course, the concealment build on T8 battleships, especially like this one, because the NC already has fairly good concealment. It has 15.7, I think, is the stock concealment. So when you slap a module on that, it drops down to, I think, 13.7 or something similar, 13.8. Very low anyway. And of course, then when you add in, I'm using the captain perk on it, or I'm using my Montana captain, and my Montana captain is obviously stealth build, so combined with that I get some ridiculous stealth of like 11.9, 12, something like that. So another 1.5 or more kilometers of stealth. So that obviously makes it a very stealthy battleship. But even without that battleship captain, it's very stealthy by itself. Which is of course great because the battleship reload the reload on this battleship is 30 seconds, and the time it takes for your firing debuff to disappear is 20 seconds. So you get basically 10 seconds of time between each volley where you just disappear, and then you pop out a stealth when you fire again. So it kind of makes you annoying to shoot back at, and because if someone wants to shoot at you, they kind of have to wait for you to fire before they can shoot at you and such, and that allows you to control fairly well when and where you'll be showing broadside and such. Now, of course, that's something you need to keep in mind. First of all, you might have noticed when I kept at the beginning there, when I was fighting all these battleships, I was just shooting, basically abusing the ridiculously long range the North Carolina has. You might have noticed that I was constantly shifting back and forth, and that's something I highly recommend. Just basically adjust your course all the time. You'd never want to be caught broadside at any point from basically any other battleship in the North Carolina. I punished this ship so many times with my other ships, especially the frontal turrets, the barbettes beneath the frontal turrets are very vulnerable to citadel, and of course it has a quite a large citadel in the middle of the ship as well. So you don't never want to get caught broadside on the ship. Let's see if I can. This attack is very aggressive. No citadel, but hey, 11k in pure damage, I'll take it. This attack is obviously very aggressive. I'm making sure you see I'm angled towards all the battleship in their spawn, while being able to point all my guns at the Ataga. That's of course intentional, because I don't have to angle against the Ataga. I mean, he's shooting HE, who cares? But I do have to angle against the battleships, and that's something as long as you keep, honestly, one of the best tips I can give for the NC is always keep in mind where the enemy battleships are, and always keep yourself angled against them. That way you will mitigate such a huge amount of damage. You might notice I have one fire on me. Of course, I do not repair this. I'm gonna move because that guy probably torqued. So if an Ataga is broadside and rushing you, it's pretty obvious he's trying to torque you, so you need to move, and there they come as expected. But I'll have no issue dodging those. Anyway, one of the biggest tips I can probably give for the NC is always try to keep yourself angled towards enemy battleships. Now, I would love to stay in this position and just take shots at them from here, but there's a Bayern behind the rocks between A and B who's pushing up, and if I stay here, he's gonna have such a perfect flat broadside against me that he's gonna do massive damage, and the Bayern has 380mm guns, so he'll have absolutely no issues citadeling me. So obviously I'm just gonna turn the turrets around and shoot from the other side. But luckily the turret traverse is quite good. I mean, compared to many other battleships, there's no big issue turning the turrets around on this ship. Very painless, in fact. Popping my self-heal. Once again, when you take damage like fires, as I said, I never repaired one fire. You might have noticed I had quite a few one fires burning on me there, but I don't care about them. I just let them burn out, because fire damage is light damage, just like flooding damage. So you can heal 100% of the fire and flooding damage you take. So I literally regained all the damage I lost to the fire, so don't care at all. And it's not worth wasting your repair, because if I wasted my repair and then I got set on fire multiple times afterwards, I would get heavily punished. There's the Bayern I was talking about, but he showed up, but I'm already turning in, so I dodged pretty much most of it. He got one hit, that's pretty much it. Now, the game is quite even. We do have 2 kills though, but they have pushed in quite deep into our base. Then again, we're pushing down D. I don't like really my team pushing D, but whatever. Should be doable. I'm gonna push this Bayern actually, because he's a T6. I have a huge advantage in my favor, mainly that I can pretty much penetrate his armor from pretty much any angle thanks to overmatch mechanics, and I can do huge damage to him. Okay, he did actually completely block 3 shells, but I got 2 penetrations and they did significant amounts of damage, and an Ataga has showed up. As usual, cruisers, you want to shoot them when they commit to a turn. When they commit to a turn and start giving you that broadside, that's when you want to predict them, so you shoot at them right as they're in the middle of it. So you see, he committed to the turn, I predict where his broadside is going to be, and I shoot there when he turns. So basically he turns into your shells. That's how you deal with cruisers. I got 1 citadel, I got some penetrations, chunked him down to 5k. Naturally, if an Ataga shows you this kind of broadside, it should be obvious now to anyone who has played this game for a while that obviously he's going to be torping me. So because of that, I'm already angling straight towards him. 2 fires. 2 fires I repair. That's usually my threshold. Gonna see if there's anything else coming in. I didn't see any other damage coming in, so I repair it. 2 fires I always repair. Basically, from experience, I've been able to, or in my own opinion, 1 fire is never worth repairing, 2 fires are worth repairing, because it's not worth eating all the damage you take from double fires. Here's the torps as expected, but because I was already turning in towards them since I was expecting them, I have no issues dodging them. And no, this game is actually quite even still. I actually don't really want to shoot that Bayern. You can see, thanks to my concealment, I'm undetected. In fact, even without the captain, you would be undetected here. I'm actually waiting for the North Carolina. North Carolina is showing broadside, and as I spoke about earlier, showing any sort of broadside in the ship is very risky. The ship shines when angled, but gets heavily punished when broadside. So you need to always keep an eye out for that. Okay, I'm turning away, I'm angling. I kind of want to shoot towards him, and I want to push towards these battleships. Possibly I want to, if that frigate dies, I might go for B instead. But did you guys see that? What I just spotted at B? That was a smoke. There was a smoke at B, so I'm actually not pushing into B after all, I'm aborting it. Remember that, always try to keep an eye out for your surroundings. Okay, he showed broadside, I didn't punish him as much as I expected. Yeah, okay, he's capping B now. That was the Bliskovic who's smoking up and capping B. So obviously pushing into B is no longer an option, so I abort that plan. And I basically start to angle away because I'm pretty sure he might be torping towards me. I'm taking a bit of a risk here by exposing broadside to the North Carolina as I turn away. But that's mostly because I see how much he's turned away and I don't want to risk being torped from B. So I can't keep my current angle. I have to just get away from there. Oh, he's turning right. You saw he was turning right. So I shoot where I predict his broadside is going to be with my back turrets. He's actually going to give me full broadside, and that's a citadel and 2 penetrations. That's what I mean with be very, very careful about exposing your broadside in the ship. You really never ever want to be exposing broadside in the ship. It's so dangerous. Always try to keep an eye out on your surroundings. As I often tell people, increase the size of your minimap, press the numpad key, the plus key on your numpad, press it twice to increase your minimap to the size I have it in the bottom right, so that you can always keep an eye out on your surroundings. Okay, the carrier is for some reason going for me, which is not a good idea. As I don't even have manual AA on this, I just have AFT and the range upgrade for the anti-air, and you can see just how easily it shreds these planes. Carriers are really not a threat for you. Just remember to focus fire individual squads, hold down control and click them. By habit, you can see I already control clicked that squad. Just do it on any squads you see near you. Once again, if you have the minimap enlarged like I do here, then you can always be prepared for any squads that are coming your way. So just control click them all. It gives you 30% additional anti-air DPS. And of course, if you happen to spec into manual AA, then it gives you a ton of more damage than that. But in general, focus firing is very much worth it. You see, even that squad just sailing past me there, or flying past me, already lost one plane. So in general, he wants nothing to do. She lost another plane already. That's what I mean. Carriers don't want anything to do with the North Carolina. It's one of the magnificent strengths of this ship is basically it's untouchable by carriers, in my opinion. Or well, if a carrier really wants to drop you, he can drop you, but he needs to be prepared to lose a ton of planes doing it, and usually it's not worth it. That's always been one of the strengths of the North Carolina, and I feel like it's only gotten stronger. Of course, punishing the Bayern, but you see that I am giving him a bit more broadside than I need. That's because I'm keeping an eye out on the North Carolina on the minimap. You see how on the minimap we can see he's turning to the right, and he's turning down towards A. So I'm constantly keeping an eye out there, because at some point I will need to turn hard right and deal with the North Carolina, who's the bigger threat than this Bayern. I'm already starting my turn now. The Bayern is being hounded by this other battleship as well, so I consider him a non-threat at this point. Well, he's obviously still a threat, but he's a lesser threat than the North Carolina. So having to pick between the two evils, I prefer to present my bow to this North Carolina and give broadside to the Bayern, since the Bayern is already so harassed. I do try to turn an additional bit to the right, just to see if I can angle away from the Bayern a bit. Yeah, the Bayern of course instantly turns and starts shooting me when he notices I give broadside, but I'm hoping this other battleship buddy of mine can deal with him. Oh, the carrier was actually down there. That explains a lot. Now, once again, Bliska spotted. This is of course an issue. I instantly start altering my course because I don't know if he's launched torps. You notice he was over 9 kilometers away from me, so that means his torps are only going to be an issue if I start sailing towards him, because Bliska has 8 kilometer torps. So I turn a bit more to the left to angle away. You also notice that on North Carolina I'm not shooting for his hull. He's shooting for my hull, I think, but I'm not shooting for his, I'm aiming for his guns. What you want in this situation is to destroy the enemy's guns, and of course you can do quite a bit of damage by aiming for the guns, because you hit the superstructure behind them as well. But you don't want to be shooting for the hull, because you can't overmatch the hull from this angle, or you will struggle to do it. So instead I go for the guns, You see, I disabled the guns, forces him to repair, forces the guns to go and reload, and in 1 versus 1 battleship battles like this, it's very, very punishing. You saw he could only shoot one turret because I damaged the other one, and he shot for my hull, and you saw I took no damage. I bounced all the shells. So now when he realized he did 0 damage, he's panicking, trying to bring his 3rd turret to bear, and he makes the biggest cardinal sin, which is he's exposing his broadside to me. I'm for the broad damage the guns. I just got normal penetration on the Citadel, but it doesn't matter. At broadside, you just do so much damage to North Carolina, instantly got deleted, and easily won the battle and pretty much sealed the deal. So, pretty easy victory, honestly, there. The North Carolina is obviously even stronger than it was back when I played it. The slight buffs to anti-air, I think maybe even speed, at least to accuracy, just a monstrous ship. How much damage did I do? 179,000, so for a T8 battleship, that's quite good. And let's see, detailed report. Yeah, creds, how much did it actually cost to repair? Okay, so I only paid 50k plus 54k for... I almost pay more for my consumables and camouflage than I pay for the actual repair costs. I might as well move on straight from here to the modules and upgrades. This was actually my very first game in the ship. I just bought it for this commentary, but I mean, I think that commentary ended up being quite descriptive. It showed up the anti-air and all that. So, module-wise, honestly, there's no real reason to unlock the range or buy the range upgrade. You don't need 23 kilometers of range. I mean, you already have 21, and that's going to be more than enough pretty much ever. Personally, I would just straight up skip the range upgrade, get the hull first, then get the speed second. Hull gives you kind of need the hull because it gives you so much good stuff like rudder shift and such, which you end up really needing. But don't bother with the range. Consumable wise, premium repair, premium heal. Those are the ones I always recommend. Main armaments mod for the guns, and anti-air range. You don't need artillery plotting room for the range, seriously, that's totally useless. Get the AA range to buff your already great AA, and you can use it at T9 and T10, which both benefit greatly from it as well. So you get that really sick anti-air range. Damage control 1 and 2 to reduce fires and flooding, and concealment to get that stealth. With the captain you get 11.8, but even without the captain, I'm using my Montana captain, you still get really great stealth. Basics of survivability captain perks wise, experts marksman, vigilance, since you kind of want to be pushing in a bit with the American battleships. AFT, please don't get the HP buff for battleships, that's such a bad idea. And concealment expert finally as the 5th point. And then with the last 3 points you get superintendent for that additional heal. Anyway, that was my short and sweet North Carolina commentary, since you guys really wanted me to do one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.